Hey,
That's super.
everybody. Pardon,
Oh,
Tommy? Yeah.
excuse me, your logo's lovely. Go ahead.
Thanks, Tommy. So yeah, everybody, we've got Tommy Ellis here today, but just want to thank you again for tuning into another essential conversation here at Wellbeings, where we're bringing you conversations that are real from ordinary people from around the world that kind of help us understand, re-look at mental health struggles and help people know that there's other resources out there where you can get help, support, or at least start a conversation. So today, everybody, we got Tommy Ellis in the house, and I know Tommy. I don't know how long it's now. It's going back 15 years, 16 years, something like this. He impressed me then. He's impressing me still today. This man is ferociously curious of the self and is continually growing and developing. And it's a real honor to have him here today. So Tommy is a claire-audient facilitator who works one-on-one online and monthly in his group workshop called the SuperHero Satsang. His sort of wisdom stems from 2 decades of psychotherapeutic exploration, group facilitation, and a deep understanding of the heart and the mind coherence. Tommy works in a very unique way. Yeah, how do you explain that? Well, what he does is he starts to listen and hear the incoherence in your energy system. And then he comes in and I don't know, it's like he helps you retune your system in a way where there's more coherence and there's more consciousness. He brings in these aspects. He helps you access these parts. And through this facilitation, cooking, flavoring process, he then slowly helps to inject or helps you understand how to inject more joy and creativity into your being. So, Tommy, thank you for sitting at the table with me today. How are you?
Really good. Really interesting times. Lots of material, Nigel, to shuffle through and learn about ourselves these days, eh? Lots of stuff going on, lots of energy, big spikes in energy, lots of stuff we got to look after. Yeah.
Yeah, man. So
amazing.
It's an amazing time. It's a time I've discovered lately that there's an invitation to slow down. There's an invitation to look at how we've been doing things and then to be honest about how well they're serving us. It's a time where we sit in uncertainty and the unknown. It's a time where we move towards others in new ways. These are the things that I'm exploring in my world. But I'm curious, Tommy, for the viewer, for the people watching, let's just get a little bit of a history of wherever you feel like it's important for you to share a little bit about what's helped shape and birth the Tommy Ellis who's here today. What's been that journey like that has you with the wisdom and the big heart that's been here for all to see today? How did it all get started, man?
So it started in a very specific place at a very specific time. So February 14th, Valentine's Day, 1994, 2 p.m. I had been in some trouble and I got an opportunity to avoid that trouble if I went into a treatment center. So on that date and on that time, I walked up funnily enough, the 12 steps of this particular building, and I ended up at that 2 p.m. I ended up in a group. I ended up in a circle. When I sat in that circle, Nigel, it's like I turned on. It's like I turned on. There was something. The 2 female facilitators, to me at that time, they were like Gandalf. I'd never seen anything like it. I couldn't believe what they were doing with some hardy, full-on addicts. And these female facilitators were just like, magi's sitting in that circle, able to facilitate that energy in a very graceful, beautiful way. And they were able to hit home, and they were able to cut through all the history and the turmoil that was going on in these people. And that was it. I was in that group 15 minutes and I was like, okay, I got to find out what this is. I got to understand what this is. And I was 19 and I had just turned 20. I had turned 20 years of age on January 29th, 1994. And in that February 14th, that's when I ended up in that group. So that's where I started to kind of go, okay, I'm in trouble. I'm in big trouble internally. I don't know what that means. My behavior is pretty insane. My emotions are, I couldn't deal with them. I didn't know what I was. I didn't know where I was. I was deeply, deeply unconscious, but I was conscious enough to know that I needed to understand what these women were doing in this group, because it fascinated me. So that's where it started. And it's still going on, Nigel, to this day. But now it's different, but it's just so interesting what's happening.
Tommy, I'm curious, and just for the viewers, like, who don't know anything about group therapy, and I think it's a sort of a dual sort of passion for both of us. But what was it that you saw that struck you the most from when you stepped in and you saw troubled people being supported? What was that support, and what was it that stood out that was so magi-like about what got your attention?
It was these women were facilitating a group of about 10, mostly men, not all men, and they were loving all of us and we didn't know it. That's what it was. It was love. And I didn't know what that was. Why is she getting into such detail with this guy? Why is she being mean? What's she doing? Why is she signaling the other facilitator? How come he's crying now? What's going on? It was love. They had men that were 50, 60, 70, 30 in front of them that were hardy human beings, but they could together get to their heart, unlock something so that these guys could see something that that information that they were not privy to in a pub, in a squat, in a drug den, in a situation. They weren't privy to that information. And these women opened that up for them. Now, whether they took on board the information, that's a whole other story. Most of us, when we were sitting there, felt threatened by them because they were so powerful. But it was literally, and I have a scene, because I've recently seen June, the movie June, and the Bene Gesserits signal each other with hand signals that look like sign language for the deaf in the movie. And these women in that group at that time, they used to signal each other. So what they would, and I'd be watching their hands. I'm like, what's going on here? What are they doing? So one, Yvonne and Aideen was their names. Yvonne would be dealing with one guy here, and then would look at Aideen, and Aideen would see how this lady over here got triggered. So she'd throw her hand signal. She'd point her, them. They're starting to light up differently. And I was watching this choreography, and it was a choreography of oxytocin. It was a choreography of love. It was a ballet. It was a ballet that I was watching, and it was just stunning. And then of course I got to see the likes of Freddie and Jimmy years later. I got to see them guys working in a group, and then it was like, okay, they're like conductors in an orchestra. But what are they orchestrating? What are they conducting? and they were conducting people inside themselves to a better feeling place. Because you gotta, with this work, you gotta, with this question and with these ideas, you gotta walk away feeling better. If you don't, something's up. The medicine has to give you some sort of relief. You gotta be better for it overall. As we've talked about before, Nigel, we can't be going into these situations to be forever in them so that you don't get the relief. We need relief, and we need to make sure that we're not working the wound or hurting ourselves, re-hurting ourselves, or re-traumatizing ourselves. You have to do the right amount of work inside at the right time with the right people, and then you got to enter into society differently, enter into culture differently, not as what you were. And people would say to you, oh, just be yourself. No, don't be yourself. Don't be yourself. Don't do that. Don't do that, because that didn't work. You need to be an expression or a broadcast of what you are. W-H-A-T, I didn't say who you are, of what you are in your essence, not the personality structure that has all the problems. Acknowledge the personality structure and all its problems, then it needs to be dissolved. Now, many people are trying to dissolve that in many different ways, Nigel, but that's not working in many different cases. The dissolution of the problem is not working in many different ways. And what I mean by that is people can get into the likes of holotropic breath work and get caught in a loop for 10 years and not get the relief. Where's the relief?
Well,
That's
Tommy, what I see sometimes, and I want you to talk about your approach, and I want to really open that up. But what I hear you talking about is where people get fixated and stay fixated versus being able to integrate and move through and move beyond the wound, the behavior, the emotional state, the thinking state. So yeah, man, let's just unpack a little bit. So you work one-to-one online, and I really want to hear about the Hero Satsang, which again is another sort of distillation from the years of work that have birthed this. So Tommy, what is it? What happens when someone comes to you? What starts to happen?
So, okay. So let me bring you to me being 10 years of age, sitting on a couch in my mom and dad's house. And my mom would walk out of the kitchen and she'd be wearing shoes that you could hear on the wooden floor. Okay, so she walks step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. She's making her way across the hall. On step 7, maybe step 5, whatever, her footstep sounds the same to everybody. It sounds the same. But this 7th footstep, it got me. I'm 10 years of age. I'm sitting on the couch, and the 7th footstep has lit my body up. I don't know why, but now I'm kind of anxious. And I'm listening to her footsteps. This 7th footstep made me anxious. And I would get an insight. I would get information from that. So basically, my mom's unconscious would be deeply expressed in a sound. I would hear it, and then I'd know my dad's at the traffic lights down the road. He's in a taxi. He's going to be here in 15 minutes, 20 minutes. And I could feel it everywhere in my body. I could feel it. And as sure as night follows day, I'm sitting there, and then you hear the gate, the front gate going, and there he is. So when he comes in and he has various different types of avoidances in his body, usually in the form of alcohol, what would happen is my body would change again. Okay, so when I heard her 7th footstep, I knew there was a different show coming to town. There was a different show coming to the house, and I was susceptible to whatever goes on from there emotionally or psychologically. So, and then all the bits and pieces would kind of unpack. Okay, so I thought everybody could hear it, Nigel.
Yeah.
I thought everybody could hear that 7th step. And all my life, it's been very, very difficult with this, because I thought everybody could hear it. But then when I talked to my friend Freddie, and I talked to him in it was around about 2012, 13, something around there, he could see it. I can't see it. He could see it clearly. When he'd sit with someone and work, he could see it. He would talk about, I can see the colors. And I'd be like investigating this, and I'd be amazed by it. Anyway, I can hear it. It's just information. I'm not saying that I'm special. I'm not saying that I'm this or that. I don't care about that, Nigel. But what I'm telling you is that if I hear it and I tell you, and you give me permission to tell you what I've heard, well, guess what, Buttercup? It's the truth. It's the truth. I'm hearing an unconsciousness in you that's looking to surface so that you can get to feel better by cleaning that off. And I don't care if you believe it. I don't care if you disbelieve it. It makes no difference to me. It's the sound. The sound is pure. The sound is clean. The sound is true. I didn't say Tommy was pure. Tommy was clean. I have no interest in that. I don't care about Tommy FM. I don't care about my personality structure. It's historical structure. That's all dissolving nicely. Thank you very much. That's been put in its place. But the sound is the primacy. The sound is prior to the Tommy. The sound that's heard in this body is prior to the Tommy. That's how it works. So I sit with somebody, or even my partner, Rachel. So she walks into the kitchen on a Monday, she makes herself a cup of tea, and she put the cup down a particular way, right? I'm like, she just put the cup down, right? But I hear something, Nigel. Something's going through my body. I don't know what it is. And then it starts to congeal. It starts to come together. It starts to become information. And then I start to ask her on Monday, are you okay? What's going on? Is something kicking around? Do you want to have a little chat? She's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Don't know what you're talking about. Okay, cool. So on Tuesday, I check. Everything okay? All good in the hood? She's, yeah, fine, thanks. Come Wednesday. Oh, okay. Right. Yeah. So Wednesday, she has got something that's moving around her system, but she has not worked in the ways we understand. She's a different sort of being, very, very light, very, very different to the likes of yourself and myself, Nigel. And then I would speak, and she's taught me a great deal about the fact that she goes, Tommy, I couldn't hear that. And then we bring it up to the surface, bring it up to the surface, and then it comes out. And she said sometimes it felt like a bit voyeuristic, like I could see something that she didn't want me to see, and she didn't even want to see herself. But either way, guess what? It's coming to the surface, kids. If you sit in front of me, and it's got nothing to do with me, it's coming. It's in the post. It doesn't matter whether you like it or you don't like it, or it's uncomfortable, or you think it's great, or you think it's some sort of this, that, and the other. It doesn't make any difference. The sound you produce in front of me will be extracted and will unfold in conversation, and then you will see what is moving you unconsciously through the various different energy centers. And working with Rachel, with my partner, in relation to this, to make our relationship very, very smooth, which it really is. There's just an abundance of love there all the time. It's amazing. It's really helped, but she's also helped me understand that people aren't hearing footsteps like you're hearing footsteps. People aren't hearing voice like you're hearing voice. So that's been a big thing for me to grok, Nigel, that this is like, funnily enough, she now starts to hear a bit like me. She gets it now. She's like, oh yeah, okay. And I'm like listen, listen to this. Now, what I mean by listen is, if I look at your face, Nigel, I don't see it. I hear it. It's a sound. You're a sound to me. You're a sound. And when your fifth energy center lights up and you're working with people, so I end up working with lots of facilitators, lots of teachers, lots of this, that, and the other that are operating, and they're teaching lots of people. So I sit with Nigel. I listen to Nigel's fifth energy center, the Vishuddha chakra, which means it can be a pure filter or it can be a clogged up filter. What happens inside of me is then the mission turns on. There's a mission. And the mission is not Tommy's mission. The mission is not even Nigel's mission. The mission is the information that's being broadcast from Nigel's fifth energy center needs to be seen at a certain aspect of his system so that this is clean when he's working with this person and that person. That the top-down phenomena hits your fifth and expresses, not from the bottom, not from the lower self, not from the first energy center, second energy center, third energy center. We don't want your agitation, frustration, discombobulation moving up, bypassing your heart, hitting your fifth, then you're going into your clinic. No. We need to acknowledge that at a refined level so that it's stopped, so that the purity of what you are, not who you are. We're bypassing Nigel now. It comes down from the top as light, as photons. Doesn't matter. I don't care whether you believe it or you don't believe it. You're going to find out that that's what's going on. It comes in through the top of your head, in through the seventh pineal gland, sixth, and it's going to hit your fifth. And then Nigel's work becomes exactly what it was always supposed to be, which is the pure symmetry of love in a circle. That's what it is. I can hear it. I know what it is. I know when my dad was coming home in the taxi when I was 10 years of age, and I know auditorially exactly what will come through your system and the effect that can have. And sometimes, Nigel, when people do this exploration with me, they run. They don't want to know, because they want to be the personality, because they want to hold on to the lower self, to the anger, the agitation, and the victim. They want to hold on to that there victim like you wouldn't believe. I'm going to keep going to the, and never get the solution. Well, here's the solution. You are the solution. I don't care whether you believe it or you don't believe it. I can hear you, the solution. This system, can hear you, the solution. You are inherently a superhero, not kind of, not sort of, not you will be, not you got to achieve it, not you got to work on it. You're already that which you are. You're already what you are. We just need to dissolve what you're not. And we do that through sound, claire-audience, this and that. Yeah.
Beautiful. Like I'm getting fired up here when I'm hearing you talk. And I remember working with an old healer in Austria one time, and she had said to me, Nigel, she says, you have two types of wisdom in your body. She says, you have the direct, all-knowing wisdom that comes down from here and out through your mouth. And then you have what we call intuition that's terribly flawed that comes up from the bottom. Which one are you going to use?
Yeah, what are you going to do with it? Yeah. So,
and you're the second person in my life to echo that. That's really powerful, Tommy, to hear. And it's so powerful to hear. I didn't know that level of sensitivity that feels like a tuning fork that you've been working your whole life, man, to be able to, I remember one time in Burma, I was like probably 50 days into a 60-day silent retreat up in Yangon and outside of it, and I could hear things I never heard before. I was like, we were in the jungle away from any sort of traffic, and I could hear like the rice farmers who I could see at a distance, maybe a kilometer and a half, I could hear the man talking and even understand what he was saying in Burmese. Can you put the kettle on, or could you go and get me some food because I'm starving out here in the fields? But I could hear, like, it was so refined. But then what you're talking about is a whole other level of clair-audio. So it's really wonderful. I'm feeling so honored here to be sitting with you to hear this, because I didn't know this about you. And so that's what happens. So that when you're sitting with one person, so what happens, Tommy, when you sit with a group of people? Do you have an orientation where there becomes a group being presented to you that you can start to attune to, or are you attuning to the individuals in the group? I'm just curious how you orientate in that fashion.
That's interesting. So I like to explore this idea or those questions in the understanding. I'm not trying to have some sort of pseudo spiritual humility. I have no time for that. It's sometimes difficult to talk about some of these things without getting looped into a new age trap, because we've heard it all before, right? And I've no kind of interest in that new age trap. So one girl that I worked with, her testimonial is very interesting. It's on my website, and I just found it very interesting. She's a beautiful girl. Andrea is her name, and I was working with her one-to-one on Zoom. And what happened is the conversation will apex between my personality and her personality. And what will happen is my body will not be able to handle the charge of what she is. Okay, so what she is starts to directly talk to me, talk to my body, talk to my system. And with her, it felt like it was coming. The only way I could describe it, it felt like it was coming over my left shoulder, which was not the case. It's just how it seemed. And it started to come really, really strongly. And it started to take over. It started to kind of just move. And I started to shake. I started to vibrate. And especially here, there's a point here that started to really go. And I started to cry, because my body is not spiritually mature enough to hold the charge of what she is and just for it to come clean through. And one of the things that happens is my jaw and my fifth start to quake. They start to really, really shake. And then I just ask for permission from them. Can we go here now? And then it just starts moving. And it starts to, what she is started to communicate directly to what she's not. What is she not? She's not Andrea. She's not the personality. Okay. So what she is starts to enter the system. Okay. And then what happens? Well, a little while after, so this girl can sing tones from her fifth energy center. Okay, that's what she can do. She sings tones and plays the shruti box, and it has a great effect on the person's different energy centers. So she works with people. But at that time, she wasn't doing that work with people. She's now doing that work with people. Why? Is it because of me? Because I'm a special little fella with clair-audience in his system? It's nothing to do with me, man. It's got to do with what she is, entering into her system and expressing what it is in 3D space and time as a solution. She is the solution. What she is the solution. And now she works with people. So she worked with another mate of mine last week. A mate of mine got her recordings, played it to her dad that has Alzheimer's, and he went to sleep. Huh? Really? He got some sleep. A man that's got a lot of discombobulation in his body, got some sleep, listening to that tone that was produced by Andrea from her fifth energy center. Now, when Andrea was working in this other job, she wasn't doing any tones. She was at a computer, she was at a window, she had some stuff going on with this, that, and the other. She was in an environment in 3D space and time. What was in the environment in 3D space and time? What she's not. Her personality was in the office, but what she is something different. So has what she is had an effect on a lovely man in Galway that's got some Alzheimer's running through his body and he got to rest? Yes. Is that because of me? No. I just listen. I got nothing to do with it. I don't want nothing to do with it. I don't care. It's nothing to do with me. Forget about the face that's in front of you. That doesn't matter. The sound matters. The sound of what? The tone that left her body, the tone that hit his body that gave him sleep. Now, this is different. This is the work of 3D space and time as we know it, changing one individual at a time via their heart. And that's that. And anybody that's watching this podcast, you have a skill inside your system. And I can hear it. And I don't care whether you believe me or you don't believe me. I can say to my partner, Rachel, 5 years ago, you got a thing going on with us, astrology. She's like, I hate astrology. Okay. Next year, hey, Rachel, you got a thing going on with astrology. Astrology, what even is that? Okay. Year after, year after, year after. Now she's 4 years in to an amazing astrology university course, and she's brilliant at it. Now she works with people. What comes out of her fifth is the pure and holy presence of what she is. That's got nothing to do with me. I don't care. I just listen to the sound. I just listen to the sound. And I was right with Rachel. And I was on it with Andrea. And it's just the way it is. Yeah.
So Tommy, just again for the viewer, and I know it's like, and just to help people understand, the depth of and the sort of landscape. Let me just put it into some. So let's say you're watching this. Somebody's watching here, and they're feeling that they're unhappy in their job, or they're dealing with addiction, or they're dealing with a certain type of behavior that's self-harming. Or they're stuck in some way, shape, or form in their life, playing out a behavior, stuck in a role to avoid themselves in some way, shape, or form, or to continue carrying something that was ancestral. What's the step? Like, what's the steps, man? Like what happens that, so when you say you help who they're not meet who they are, and then they become who they are, walk them through there, how there's a dissolvency, or as as I shared your introduction there, where that incoherence, that sort of imbalance, that sort of wobble in the energy field, how does it get back in alignment again? Is it something which can happen immediately? Is it something which takes time? Is it something which, is it different for everybody? I'm just for the viewer, I'd like to help them understand this, because it's quite profound what you're saying.
Okay, so here's the answer to all of that we can unpack in any which way that it would like to unfold. You can call yourself Nigel all day, every day. You ain't Nigel. That's that. How do I know? Go and investigate it. Who's there in the gap between thoughts? Not you. What's there? What you are. Simple. Keep it simple. Okay, so here's the best way to describe that as well. So you can call yourself Nigel all day, every day, and you ain't never going to be Nigel. I know what you are because I'm not deaf. I can hear it. I know what you are. The mission. I get it. I hear it. the target. I can see a target. I can hear a target in front of you and how pointed you are. And it's beautiful. It's really beautiful. It's fractal, it's sacred geometry, and it's coming right around in front of your body. I don't see nothing, I can hear it. I know what you are. And when I start to trigger what you are by dissolving what you're not, and you ain't Nigel, you start to feel it. You're feeling it now. You're feeling it now. You can feel what you are because it's negating what you're not. So all the seeming problems that Nigel has get overridden and outshone by what you are. That's entering into your body right now. I can hear it, right? Okay. So when I was 4 or 5 years of age, my mom would come in, she'd open my bedroom door, stick her head around the door, and she'd say, Tommy, get up. We have to go to school. That's what she'd say. Wednesday morning, she'd knock, maybe not. She'd go through the door. Tommy, wake up. We got to go to school. Okay. It's taken me decades to know that that wasn't true. I'm not Tommy, and I don't have to go to school. And I knew it when I was lying in that bed. I'm not Tommy. You want to give my personality that moniker, you want to give me that label, that's okay. It works. It's ease of use in society. But I'm not Tommy. That's not what I am. That's not what you are. That's not what Andrea is. That's not what Rachel is. We are light and information that's encapsulated, seemingly encapsulated in a body, not really encapsulated, but seemingly. And the deal is that people need to really think when they're immersed in the personality's destruction of their active oxycodone addiction. Ask yourself, who is it? What's driving this? Don't go looking for a solution from the pharmacy. Don't go blaming your doctor. Don't go blaming your therapist for not giving you a solution. You are the solution. The solution, Nigel, this is the sentence. The solution is prior to the problem. What we are is before I was ever called Tommy that has to go to school. And as soon as I start working at this level with somebody and start picking apart and picking and peeling and working, what happens is what they are starts to have no desire to pick up that 10 milligram oxy, has no desire to pick up that drink. It's stop trying to do work on your active addiction. Go ask yourself who it is that's picking up the drink. And it ain't like it's your personality structure is going to go to the pub. Your personality structure is going to want to smoke that heroin. That's what your personality structure is going to want to do. And you can slowly but surely start looking inside, and the agitation, discombobulation can start to dissolve. And it's just so interesting when they turn away and turn inside. And they can just get a brief moment between the outlandish thoughts that they've been feeling and sensing and thinking all their life. They get a little bit of respite. That respite turns into 2 hours. And then before you know it, 6 months, and then it's a year. And then they have a desire to help other people. Wow, I wonder why that is. Because that's what you are, your love. You're not selfishness, you're inherently selflessness. Selflessness in your system wants to express in 3D space and time. And if that's not happening, then give me a call. I'll help you dissolve it. And it won't have nothing to do with me, Nigel. Nothing. That's the beauty. So, yeah.
Wow. I feel as if, like, I love the power that's coming from you, and yeah, I do feel it as you talk, and I do feel it in my body. There's an energy passing through me as I'm sitting here with you, Tommy, and I can feel it in my throat. I feel it in my buttocks and my cheeks and my ass. I can feel it moving through my being, and I'm just staying grounded to let it move. And it's also there's a sort of wanting to go a particular direction with you now, and then there's another part of me that's saying maybe we just need to go somewhere else, and I'm going to follow the somewhere else for now. And
Mm-hmm.
and I'm curious to have an experiential here for the viewer,
Mm-hmm.
you know, as I'm having an experiential here with you, Tommy.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious if whether it's a short moment of um, meditation or invitation or uh, connection, just to help others come, you know, whether they're watching this now or they're watching it on the replay,
Mm-hmm.
just a couple of minutes, something, you know, that, of course, you know, you're asking these questions, you know, like, who am I not? Who am I? You know, am I the guy taking the oxytocin or the oxycontin? No, like what is that personality?
Mm-hmm.
So something to really understand about how can we get into the adult state? How can we
Mm-hmm.
get into the heart state?
Yeah.
And I'm leave that up to you to feel where you want to go with that.
Yeah. So when okay, so it's interesting that you said different parts of your body. So you've acknowledged the lower end of your body started to move. Okay, so that's the first energy center. So the first energy center, the Muladhara chakra, the vagina, penis, the perineum, all that area. The perineum especially is where the plexus of neurons is. So as I was talking there, that started to move in your system. Okay, cool. So that's the energy, that's that kundalini energy that's just kind of about to move. It's energetically, what happens is that when it starts to open in one, it'll move to the second energy set and it keeps on opening. Okay, this is really important for everybody that sees this. Okay, your pain, your discombobulation, your agitation, your feeling like a victim, your insecurity, all of that is fuel. It's fuel. Fuel. That's what it is. It can be used as such. There is meditations that you can do that you can get that energy that's opened up in the plexus and neurons in your kind of perineum as I was talking, and I wasn't talking, you were talking, and what you are started to dissolve what you're not in your first energy center. Okay, so I'm a witness, right? Okay, that's what it
Mm-hmm.
is. So it starts to open, and it can be in yoga, it's called the mula bandha. And when it's tightened and you breathe it up, you can bring it up and it'll come up through the spine and you will start to get relief. All of your pain, that terror that you felt in your feet when you were 6 years of age, little girl lying in the bed wondering what's going to happen next, that's fuel. That's fuel. That's fuel to allow what you are into your body. That's that. I guarantee you, I've looked under lots of rocks in this place. That's that. It's fuel. You get it up into the second, you gently squeeze it. It's called intrathecal pressure. That's its moniker. That's its name. It comes up. And where are you trying to get it to? Four. The fourth energy center, which is your
Heart.
thymus. What's produced in your thymus? Thymosin. What else is produced in your thymus? Immunoglobulin G, immunoglobulin A. All your immune system produced from here. Have we heard some stories recently about immune systems? Well, guess what? That's why. So you can get your childhood, you can get that teacher that used to hurt you, that alcoholism that you've indulged in, or the fact that you're a perpetrator. And I do like to speak directly to the sexual perpetrators in the world. I got you. I get it. You're stuck in the first energy center. I can help you get up to the second, up to the third, and invite you into the fourth. Why? So you don't perpetrate that way anymore. And that discombobulation can be used for fuel, for love. So meditation There's a few different types. You can squeeze it up, it'll get to the fourth. When it gets to the fourth, then what you say is going to be different. When it gets to the fourth, you'll speak something different. Now, it might take a minute because you've been listening to Nigel FM or Tommy FM or Patricia FM or Rachel FM since you were 4. They all told you, you're Tommy, you got to go to school. That wasn't true. That wasn't true. They never told you about the Assyrian schools or the mystery schools. But guess what? The mystery schools are here. They're alive. They're well. I have a partner inside studying astrology. So it's all back. It's all going to come back to the same thing. And eventually, karmically, lifetime after lifetime, you're going to have to understand that that pain is looking to be solved. And it gets solved in the fourth energy center. So meditation is a key solution to this. But also, Nigel and whoever else, people like Nigel that work with large groups of people, help them into a better feeling place chemically. Help them into a better feeling place chemically. What chemicals? Well, it's obvious. The chemistry of the heart, the thymosin, the oxytocin. There is a feature in the cellular structure in your fourth energy center. It is a type of magic, and it's called endothelium-derived relaxin factor. And when that helps to produce nitric oxide in your heart, guess what you feel? You feel joy. And when you feel joy, everything changes. Now, I don't care if people like this or dislike this or believe me or don't believe me. You enter into a different dimension. When you're in your heart, you're not in the lower dimensions of the sexual dysfunction that's in your first energy center, or the victimization in your second energy center, or you're out of the rage of your third energy center, because that's where I hung out, Nigel. I hung out in the rage. You're in your fourth energy center, and your joy has one mission and one mission only, and it's selflessness. And you're going to help people. You're not going to be the victim anymore. You're going to be the solution. I don't care if you're banging up gear in a laneway. You're the solution. You're the solution. And I can help you hear it. I can help you hear it. And once you hear it, there's no going back to business as usual. It's not going to happen. You're going to want to be the solution. We're here to be the solution. We're here to be the solution.
I love that, man. I love that. I love the simplicity of that, Tommy. You know, an old client of mine. He was a spoken poet, and I think he went viral on Facebook. And he said his name of his poem was "You are who you are always waiting for." You know,
yes,
you are who you were always waiting for. You know, like
yes.
You are the solution. You are the place that you have to keep finding your way back to. Not the personality, not the distortions, not the continual sort of self-destruction. No, like coming back to that, and that's very powerful, Tommy. And I just want to expand a little bit more here into, you know, to talk about the SuperHero Satsang that you do, where you bring groups of people together. Tell us a little bit about when you have more than one person in the field with you. What can you get when you step into that gathering, that sort of sit around that table together, you know, many people, where this energy is running and amongst us, or the possibility I'm imagining of that happening. Could you give us a little example of something that's happened that stands out in your memory from one of those satsangs that could help the viewer understand a little bit about what goes on in that sort of environment?
So recently, I remember working in the SuperHero Satsang in the group. The kind of energy was building in my system. The energy of what they are was building in my system and was starting to just really kind of move. Now, I was talking to a person in the group that was new to this type of language. You are what you've been looking for. You are the solution. You are inherently a superhero. It's just that's been forgotten because you think you're the personality in a body. Now, I was directing it to her, but my heart was attached to another person. It was moving to this other person. Water will always find its way. And it would come through and speak. So she would start to fold into it. But it took talking to her for her to fold into it. And this particular lady that I am referring to, she has just recently, she's waking up. She's waking up to the essence of what she's always been. You don't have to do work on yourself to wake up to what you've always been. You are it. And that's the work that I do in the Superhero Satsang, is trying to get you to understand you are it. Now, if there's other things in the way, I can help with kind of the maneuverability of that. But very often, it's when somebody moves a certain way, they move a certain way, and I hear that sound, and there's been no attention on that particular person, and then I just start tracking that sound. There's a discomfort in how they just pull their sleeve up, and that leads us through the eye of the needle, you know. And I kind of let people go, listen, if you think I'm talking shit, then let's have it. If you think let's have it. Let's talk about that, because their first energy center, second energy center, and third energy center are going to be vying for their own sustenance. So the sex addict will try and defend itself, and the porn addict will try and defend itself, especially if it's female. You know what I mean? And the victim, they all try and then the third energy center will start really, or the second energy center will start defending diet. Defend your diet all you want. It doesn't make any, you can stay in it all you want. It's not what you are. What you are is the negation of that diet. We gotta talk about it. It's the negation of that diet. And what is fasting is the negation of what the personality wants, right? So fasting is a spiritual path inward, not a spiritual path outward. Fasting is not about doing something. It's about not doing something. Entering into nutritional ketosis in your second energy center, third energy center, is not about doing something. It's about the negation of doing something. It's a different thing. If you've got hyperinsulinemia and a problem with glucose, and you're morbidly obese, and you sit in front of me and you have a little chat, well, guess what, Buttercup? We're talking about the chocolate. You don't want to talk about the chocolate, then you're talking to the wrong guy. You're talking. Don't present me with the seeming problem and say you're looking for a solution and then deny the solution. If you want the solution, I can show you auditorially what you are. And then you won't have the desire for that food or that food or that food. You won't.
Hey, Tommy, are you noticing that as you're doing this work, you're having more people being able to hear the truth that comes towards them, that comes from them? And are you noticing a shift where they're able to hear that, or are you still noticing that there's as much normal structural defense happening within the people you're seeing?
So there was a fella on this planet a long time ago, and he was seen at the culture and at the society at the time as a threat. Now, I don't know him. I've never met him, and I don't know nothing about him. And his name was Yeshua. That was Homeboy's name. Now, I don't know him. I've never met him. I don't know nothing about him. He's got another name called Jesus. I don't know him. Never met him. And I don't go looking for them. But here's the skill set that he had. He sat in front of you and he didn't see the obesity. He didn't see the agitation. He didn't see the sex addiction. He saw what you are, and that's why you healed. Because he couldn't see it.
Yeah. Wow.
He couldn't
And
see
just
it.
for the viewers, just Tommy, just pausing there right now, because I feel your heart. I feel the pop right there. And just for anybody listening, just feeling it. How often do we see, all these distortions in us, all these broken bits, and like how often do we forget not to just come back to the heart, back to that place where we are enough, where we are more than enough, and just fill up in that sort of petrol station of just nourishment, enrichment, coming home, resting there for a while. I feel that so strong for me. My heart's being impacted here too, man. That's beautiful. I love that. Maybe we sit here a little bit.
People move through this world thinking that they're the problem. You're not the problem. You're not a problem, man. It's all workable. It's all workable. Don't be worrying about it. I know what's going on in the world. When you start to unsee that which is plaguing itself around this place as it has to be seen, don't be worrying about it. It can all be dissolved, and your heart can walk through 3D space and time as the solution. And if a dude called Yeshua can do it, then guess what? You can do it. How do I know? Because I can hear it, and I'm not deaf, man. I'm not. I don't hear with ears that hear. I don't see with eyes that see. It's not me seeing. So
Yeah,
it's very strong.
It's a force, man. It's not an occupation. It's not even a sort of specific orientation. It feels like a deep calling that one be's moved, and almost it sounds like, Tommy, the way a sort of a grain of sand in a desert needs to just surrender to the wind so that it gets blown over the lake to get to the other side. There's a surrendering, and there's a taking, and there's an energy with that, and it's just this place that just is in alignment, and you feel that when you're with somebody who's in alignment with their heart, with their purpose, which is what the force I'm feeling from you here today. It's contagious, I don't know even what time it is back here, but I'm not going to sleep tonight, man, with this sort of level of energy that I'm feeling through my body. And I was looking forward to it. I was feeling a bit sleepy before the chat with you, and I've got like 10 big cups of high octane in my third and in my fourth, so it's full. It's like it's getting jiggy in there right now. But yeah, just as we are coming to the end, Tommy, and as I'm feeling filled in, and I do recommend anybody watching, as you're listening to us share, there's wisdom to the words that's been spoken, but also just feel us sharing. Feel the space in between Tommy's words. Feel how you're being impacted by the words. Just noticing how you're being affected by this conversation today. And just wanted to finish up with one more thing, Tommy, although we've probably spoke to it in multiple of different ways, but let's speak to the heart, and let's end with talking about, or inviting you to say something to the importance of coming home to your heart at this time in our trajectory of being on this planet. Why it's important to navigate the uncertainties and the unknowns and a clunky horizon that's not the way it once used to be. Why is it so important now to come home in and down to who we really are in our hearts?
It's literally the solution to everything that's going on. It moves oxytocin, endothelium derived relaxin factor, nitric oxide in your heart, oxytocin in your heart, serotonin moving through your system, all the high frequency dopamines that can move through your heart. When you're in your fourth energy center and you feel joy and you're sitting on your couch and everybody around you is talking about this and talking about that, don't let go of joy. Don't let the people around you bring you into a different frequency. You're the solution. The electromagnetic field of your heart is the solution to every single problem that you seemingly see in the world. You are the solution. And all you got to do is put your hand on your heart, even for 10 seconds one day. I don't care if you're smoking heroin down a laneway, you can put your hand on your heart for 10 seconds. If you're a ballet dancer, do it for 30. Do it for 40. Just know that your heart is there. Just know that it's there. Just know that the drugs that you're looking for, absolutely you can have them. They're in your heart. The chemistry you're looking for it's in your heart. And you literally will start to walk in this place like some of those people we mentioned earlier on. You'll walk in this place as the solution. That which he could do, you can do, because you are that. So you are that.
Very moved here, Tommy, to sit with you and hear from you, hear the wisdom, feel the energetic transmission from you. That's me saying hey to me. And I'm going to be leaving, driving home on my motorbike tonight, feeling this for the rest of tonight and into my weekend. So I'm really thank you. I'm really moved by your generosity and your openness, and really moved by the sensitivity you shared, and the wisdom that's the hard-earned wisdom that was born out of that over a lifetime. And anybody watching, anybody anywhere in the world who's watching, if you're struggling, if you want to find your way back to that place that's you, all the links and all the connections to Tommy, Tommy's one-to-one or Tommy's SuperHero Satsang is below. But and I do again want to reiterate, if you did listen to this and it did impact you, please hit a like button, hit a share, because it can help other people maybe get an opportunity to see it and feel it as well. So thank you, Tommy. Thank you, viewers. And we'll be back the same time next week for some more adventures of the heart, the soul, and whatever else is in between. Thanks, Tommy.
Thanks, Nigel. That was awesome.